Hello there spear matchers, and welcome for another How to Mod Luxor video with Konisbored. So today we're actually gonna start the portion which you guys probably wanna see. How do you make a path? And we are not gonna be using Node for this. Psyched you out, didn't I? Today I'll actually be going to demonstrate the very original way to make paths. But then you're like, Konis, why should I care? I got Node. Well, it's because you guys probably don't even know how the paths work if you've been using Node the whole time. So this method was actually code discovered by Vebros and Bobic after they messed around with Quick BMS. So I'm gonna be explaining how it works. First of all, we're gonna be making your first path. That's right, your very first path. Now I'm gonna be explaining basically how everything works. So go to your extracted Luxor or Luxor Moon Rising folder. We will be using Dai Khufu Dai as the example for this. We are going to right click, copy, and paste. And we're going to be renaming this. And we're going to be renaming this level My First Map. Smiley face. Yeah, it has to be cap locks in that order. M, F, and M must be cap locks. So as we see here, this. I don't know what I did wrong. I probably must have messed around with a few folders. So if all goes well, Dai Khufu Dai should look like this. It should have a background image that should look something like this. Shut up, Windows 8. And we should have a sprite file, a Map.ui file, and a path.object file. Good, ready? Alright, let's get started. Open up GIMP or Paint.net or whatever image folder you have, and we're gonna be opening up this this image. So this is basically the JPEG image file. It is here we show a lovely Khufu. Let's undo that. So how do paths work? Alright, so here's how paths work in Luxor. If you open up the game, it basically loads all the extracted data, and then from there on we can basically it will basically load the level first, then the map. So basically we will be getting the game to load My First Map after we make a few teeny little changes. First of all, let's open up background.sprite with notepad++. We will be changing the coordinates from Dai Khufu Dai to My First Map. This basically means that after we save the file, it will be loading this JPEG image and not the one at Dai Khufu Dai, this one. But you're like, Konis, they're the exact same image. What difference does that make? Well, let's say I put a big X on Khufu's face, it will actually load this file now. So that's basically one of the more important steps. People do forget to like mess around with the path names of the step. So this is a relative path. So basically this is basically telling the game, go to data, then maps, then My First Map, and load background.jpg. This none thing is actually referring to a Tarja file, which we'll be going into later with tunnels. So I expect a lot of you want to hear about that topic, but we're not going to be hearing it now. So besides that, these 800 by 600 is talking about xpic, about lang, blah blah blah. We'll be going into what all of these numbers do if I ever get into like sprite making or font making, but that's not the time now. Today we'll be mainly focusing on this file, path.object file. So this is a object file generated by Lightwave 3D. So basically you see all these beautiful variable of numbers. You're probably wondering what in the heck that does. Well, if you actually load these numbers into Node, as I'm gonna show you, here's basically what it would look like. Here we go, this is Dai Khufu Dai. So basically what this does is it shows the path that is generated by the file. So it's like, it's nothing too special. We'll basically be changing all of this. So open up your beautiful file. Let's take a pencil tool or whatever. And now I'll be showing you how these coordinates are generated. So for example, let's create a coordinate called 0, 0, 0. Basically what that does is it tells Luxor or Luxor Moon Rising, alright, I want a coordinate at this specific spot, 0, 0. The 0 at the back is at the very last one is referring to the z-axis, which we honestly really don't need to care about. You can put it like 0 whenever you want. So I recommend opening a new layer to be putting all of these coordinate dots. You'll be seeing why soon enough. So let's ditch our picture and then let's actually create our new path for real. So here we're gonna be creating our very first path. Are you ready? Let me show you guys how we used to create paths. So let's take a coordinate, a beautiful round number, okay. 500 at 174. So we'll basically take this number and type in 500 negative 1740. Now you're probably wondering, what's this negative number for? So the way, I'm not sure if any of you have ever learned about x-axis and y-axis in the graphs, but basically the way the Caucasian planes work, God, I hope I said that right. If not all the math people will be coming at me. Is that the point of origin is actually the top left hand corner of the Luxor game engine, and basically the game itself is in the negative y-axis. I probably have to get a picture up to show you guys what I mean. Yeah, the one that's on screen right now, because I probably won't ever be able to explain this. So basically you just need to remember, unless your path goes over the top of the screen, the y must always be negative. And then let's take it 174, right? Let's move it all the way to 258. So basically we've created a straight line. 258 174. And let's this to 0 as well. So basically now spheres will move in a beautiful straight line along this axis. Yeah, this weird axis. I'm sorry, I haven't made path using this in a long time. Now, I'm gonna be showing a very common mistake people tend to make. From 258, we'll be moving downwards to, let's say, let's be nice. Let's say 345. 345. Sorry, 258. That's our x-axis, which hasn't changed at all. As you can see, it's still here. And then our y-axis have actually decreased to, I think, 345. So let's negative 345 this, then 0. And let's ditch all of these painful numbers and ditch these whole list of numbers as well. This is called the path list. It basically tells Luxor in what order do you count the vertices from. So now we'll be just going 3, 2, 1. So it'll basically count. It'll count from the pyramid this vertex, then this vertex, then this vertex. And let's switch this to 3. So now this is basically telling Luxor that alright, we have a new object called paths.lwo, whatever that means, with 3 vertices, 0 points, 0 lines, 1 face, 1 materials, and then it loads that object. And here is the vertex list, and here is the face list. Understand what I'm talking about? Yeah, it's a little bit complicated. So with all of that said and done, let's actually close this, and we will now load our first map. Go to data, levels, and at 1-1, we will select my first map. Save that. And we'll edit, I actually forgot a step, sorry. We're gonna have to open Map.ui first and change this to my first map. And for the sprite, and basically the path, you also have to remember to change it to the camel case version. What I mean by camel case is that every time there is a space between the letters, you actually need to do this. So basically, a level called, like for example, a level called the Wrath of Set must be capitalized in its map name like follows. And its folder name must be this. I'm sorry if this is an info bomb right now, but all of this is useful in the future, so yeah, keep that in mind. So once you ensure that your sprite name is pointing at the correct background and the same path, you need to make sure my first map is here. Let's just save. and delete this because we don't actually need this. So to recap, your background.sprite should look like this. Make sure you change this. And for your Map.ui, you need to make sure to change this, and my map name is called My First Map. And last but not least, our path.ui should look like this. 3 vertices, some really obscure obligatory numbers. And in the level files at level 1-1, we're gonna load my first map. Alright, we're ready. Open up Luxor Moon Rising and start a new game. So basically, here is now our beautiful first map. As you can see, it looks pretty fancy, doesn't it? But do you notice something awkward? Besides the fact that it's near impossible to win? Well, besides the fact that the pyramid's gone, you might have noticed something. This something is a little glitch that I like to call the rolling glitch. If you pay attention, the spheres are actually rolling in a weird angle compared to rolling straight. This is because of something I would like to call, perhaps called the curve effect. I'm not actually sure what to call it. So basically, what the effect name is, or just implies, is that because they're all in a sharp angle, it basically will not save it properly. So to further elaborate what I'm saying, basically if you have a path that goes somewhat like this and then this, and you only have 3 vertices, so like this, it will not work. So basically, the way we do things instead is actually by doing this, then doing this. So basically what happens is the path will move, the balls will move straight, then curve very slightly here, then head down. So we'll just be making one tiny edit to our path basically. Instead of like one sharp turn here, we'll be having like basically 2 tiny turns here. So go back to your path to object. So like this, we'll basically be making the turn here. This is called a smooth intersection. So basically we change this to this, and we change this to this. This basically makes a slightly smoother transition. Instead of just one single turning point or at a sharp angle. Where did my coordinates go? Jeez. Sorry, they were here. My bad. Now I can remember. Show up already, dude. This is a terrible tutorial. Gah. There, jeez. Instead of a single turning point, which is this, we now have a slightly inclinated angle where the spheres can turn. Now, I'm just doing this to show you guys, oh, by the way, switch this to 4 as well. Save, and to show you guys a common pet peeve among moderators and users is that there should be no reason for these quote-unquote rolling glitches to occur, because the only really simple fix is to, instead of have one coordinate point as the turning point, you just simply need to have like 2 or 3. The moment you have 2 or 3, the spheres will actually roll at the corner, as you see here. And the glitch is solved. Easy as that. Nothing much to say really. It is the first map, and I'm basically just going through how things would normally go. As you can see, the pyramid isn't even like generated properly. Now that we've created our first map and I've shown you guys how to load our first maps, plus the coordinates and stuff, we'll be getting into the fun stuff next episode with... Gosh, I game over. That was probably humiliating. With node path making. So if you enjoyed this episode of How to Mod Luxor, do feel free to hit that like button, comment down your thoughts, and share this video. Remember, we used to make maps like this, and it did suck. Having to make coordinates like this. Making circles was a pain, in case you couldn't tell.